Hey guys, today we'll be talking about the upcoming Thor movie, Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, even though the movie is scheduled to be released in February of 2022, there are still a lot of things we need to talk about. One is the fact that Natalie Portman is coming back as Jane Foster, the possible villains with Christian Bale already confirmed, and some other characters like Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie, and of course, the most important question that I think is on everybody's mind, which is, are we still going to see Fat Thor? I think I should probably start by answering that. That's probably the most important of all. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can always stay updated. Now, on with the show. Number 5, Thor during and after the events of Endgame. In Endgame, we saw an entirely different side of Thor, not the old, confident Shakespearean bad boy. We saw a PTSD-afflicted Thor, which is really something because remember, this is a 1,500-year-old being, according to him, who has seen and endured all sorts of hardships through the ages. For him to have seen so many of the people he loved and cared about die, not to mention the fact that half the universe got turned to ash, and he had come so close to preventing it, if only he had gone for the head. To have lost so much, and to have had this many failures knowing that there was no plausible way of rectifying it, it's enough to make even the God of Thunder descend down a slope made of cheese whiz and alcohol, which he did. In Endgame, we saw a broken Thor, a Thor that has been stretched to his lowest point. Hence, Fat Thor was born. And although it was due to dour circumstances, it was quite hilarious to see this new side of Thor, and fans can't help but wonder if we'll be seeing this side of him in the next movie. I don't really think so. You see, I believe that Fat Thor was a way for the writers of Endgame to keep the character in some sort of stasis before a new extent of his capabilities and powers are revealed in the Thor movies. Remember, in Avengers Infinity Wars and Endgame, we saw the peak power ranges for characters like Iron Man with Tony using nanotech and extremely cool gadget Gizmo, and Captain America being able to use Thor's hammer, adding to his strength and capabilities. Yes, I can admit that the introduction of Stormbreaker was a new peak for the God of Thunder, but the extent and extremes of what Thor can do with this weapon hasn't really been established. In the newer comics, Thor assumed the moniker Herald of Thunder because of how powerful his lightning and weather magic became, not to mention the fact that with him being the new king of Asgard, he is technically supposed to be able to use the Odin Force and rune magic. So honestly, there's still more that we're going to see from Thor in terms of his powers, and as for his psychic and corpulent stature, it's most likely that he is going to be losing it and reverting to his former muscular and average-sized superhero stature. But Thor is not the only main character we're focusing on in this movie. As I am sure you already know, Mighty Thor is coming. Number 4, Mighty Thor. Thanks to Kevin Feige and the Marvel Studios announcement in the 2019 Comic-Con, we know that Natalie Portman is going to be reprising her role as Jane Foster, from as we've seen in the first 2 Thor movies. Natalie had opted out of the MCU after Thor: The Dark World was released, based on some problems with the studios. But whatever issues she had with the studio, it looks like they've been long ironed out. And now, not only is Portman set to play Jane again, she's also set to play Jane's alter ego from the comics, the Mighty Thor. The Mighty Thor is a superhero that also wields Mjolnir, i.e. Thor's hammer. She got her powers when she was declared worthy. She could summon and lift the hammer, and she went on to become a superhero. Now, there's a particular comic that depicts Jane having terminal cancer, and she refused to use any form of magic to heal herself, and chose to rely on modern medicine or chemotherapy. But this backfires when she wields Mjolnir, because the energy she channeled was so much that it wiped away the treatment from her body, and using the hammer was slowly killing her. Many believe that this might be the adaptation the MCU will choose to use. The other question that a lot of people are asking is how exactly is it possible for Jane to use Mjolnir when we all seem to recall it being destroyed by Hela in Thor Ragnarok, and Captain America already returned the hammer Thor borrowed from the past? Well, it could be that Thor managed to piece the hammer back together, perhaps with the help of Eldritch the Dwarf. Maybe he had a new hammer made, or maybe it's from another universe, since Marvel is opening the doors to alternate universes. Either way, the hammer is in play again, and from the title, it feels like the movie is going to be predicated on Thor and Jane love interests, and them discovering themselves given the new circumstances that they're faced with. Speaking of someone facing new circumstances, Thessa Thompson as Valkyrie is set to play another key role in the movie. Number 3, Valkyrie as Queen. Thessa Thompson spiked fans' interest with her hilarious performance as Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok. I mean, the whole drinking thing was mad funny, and in the end of Avengers Endgame, we saw Thor hand over the mantle of ruler of Asgard to Valkyrie. Even though the Asgardian population has been greatly depleted, the shoes of a ruler of Asgard are still some very big shoes to fill. Marvel Studios has hinted that the movie is going to explore Valkyrie's life as a new queen and the challenges she'll face. Valkyrie is also set to be the first Marvel Studios character that is playing an LGBT role in the MCU, so that should be interesting. Number 2, the villain. The villain of the movie has already been disclosed, with Christian Bale playing the role of Gore, the God Butcher. And there's also speculation of Enchantress and Mangog finally making an appearance. For the sake of this video, we'll focus on Gore the God Butcher. Gore the God Butcher is from a nameless and barren wasteland, and he encountered a lot of hardship. He saw his family and his loved ones die, and since his people are very religious, and they believe that the gods will help them in all things, Gore had complete disbelief in the realness of gods. He thought that no good gods would ever allow him and his family to suffer so much. Upon finding out that the gods were actually real, he was filled with so much malice and hatred. He thought if the gods were real, and they were as powerful as his people say they are, then why didn't they help him and his family on his planet in their suffering? In his anger, Gore made it his life's purpose to kill all gods, every last one of them. What makes Gore so formidable is the fact that he has the all-black Necrosword, a blade that was formed using the head of a dead celestial. The blade is believed to be able to kill gods, and Gore is armed with speed, strength, and the endurance necessary to wield the blade efficiently. Oh, and did I mention that he is also immortal? It sure would be nice to see how Christian Bale will bring this character to life. And number 1, other MCU appearances. There's not a lot to go on right now, but I believe we will undoubtedly be seeing a cameo from the Guardians of the Galaxy, since Thor had decided to travel with them in the ending of Endgame. Another interesting party that has been confirmed is Loki. Taika Waititi has confirmed that Loki will be making an appearance, saying it wouldn't be a Thor movie if Loki wasn't present. So, with that, I think there's a lot that we have to look forward to in Love and Thunder, and it will be interesting to see how this all ties to the central theme of the MCU. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to subscribe and tell me some of your thoughts about Love and Thunder in the comments below. This is Movie King, signing out.